Just a week or two ago, we're seeing commercials for vaccines now, and guess what you're hearing? May cause injury at the end of the commercial, because there's no such thing as a perfectly safe product. And now, based on headlines that came out this week, the misinformation that myocarditis, pericarditis, blood clots, and strokes could be increased by vaccines, well, here's the headline. Daily Mail, largest COVID vaccine study ever, finds shots are linked to small, increased risk of neurological, blood, and heart disorders, but they're still extremely rare. Look at how hard they work at that. Small and extremely rare in the same sentence. This is the New York Post. COVID vaccines linked to slight increases in heart, brain, blood disorders, study shows. Slight, small, rare. Well, how rare? How small? How was the study done? What are we talking about? Well, the Daily Mail puts out a graph, so this is what they consider small. That to have a almost 400% increased risk of swelling of the brain and spinal cord, that's just from the first dose of Moderna. I guess 4 times the risk is a small risk. Blood clots from AstraZeneca, 3.23 times. Not a 20% risk, a 320% risk increase of blood clots. Guillain-Barré syndrome, which could lead to paralysis, 2.49 times. With the AstraZeneca, myocarditis from Pfizer in the first dose, 2.7 times. Myocarditis from Moderna, 3.48 times. Pericarditis, 1.7 times, just with 1 dose of Moderna. Myocarditis from Pfizer in the second dose, 2.8. Oh, here's a really small one. Myocarditis from the second shot of Moderna, 6 times the risk of myocarditis in your child that had 0 risk from dying of COVID, but a 6 times risk of swelling their heart, which will permanently damage them. Remember, another small one. Look at this, AstraZeneca, only 6 to almost 7 times the amount of pericarditis if you got that vaccine, and the third dose if you didn't, compared to if you didn't get it at all. Myocarditis, Pfizer, third dose, 2 times. Pericarditis, Moderna, fourth dose, 2.6 times. Myocarditis from the third dose, 2 times. And they're not even talking about cancer, which we've been reporting on. But how about this? You're like, well, I mean, only 6 times the amount of myocarditis. But if you add that 6 times to the 2 or 3 times for myocarditis, and what about the blood clots and stroke? And that's, I mean, what happens? They're not just 6 by themselves. They all stack up. What are we, like 20 times the amount of risk for getting totally jacked up by this vaccine? And they're only just starting the list, and trust me, the scientists did everything they could to make this as conservative as they possibly could. Because no one wants to be responsible for, God forbid, saying we need to recall a vaccine.